fade out. Mastering brand differentiation for you, your products, and your business. And I want each of my wonderful panelists to introduce themselves and start a little on this photo order. Dan, you go first.
Dan Masuga. I'm running a consulting business right now, but spent a lot of time in brand marketing and differentiation and storytelling over the last 33 years, and looking forward to the conversation. I'm joined by some great people that I have gotten to know, and I'm going to turn it over to Nuno. Quick introduction.
Thank you, Dan. Good to see everyone. Nice to meet you all. My name is Nuno Bamberg. I'm the SP of Brand Marketing for Sleep Country in Canada. So think of mattresses, bedding, and great sleep. We can help you with that in Canada, some parts of the US as well. Very great to be here and to meet you all. And I'm going to pass it over to the fantastic Daniela to wrap this up and bring us in.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. We're so excited to be here. My name is Daniela Gabrielle Smallwood. I am Vice President of Marketing and Programs for Thompson Hospitality, where we are the largest minority-owned hospitality company, and we provide exceptional dining services for historically Black colleges and universities. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Don.
Oh, I love this. Well, let us get this all running. First big question is to start the conversation. When creating or evolving a brand, how do you gain deep, actionable insights into your customers' evolving needs and behaviors? For personal branding, what strategies ensure your messaging genuinely resonates with your target professional audience? You hear that question? Who wants to take it first? Dan? Nuno, you go, Nuno.
I'll give it a try. So we just went through this in Canada with Sleep Country, where we've been a 30-year business in Canada, very focused on sleep since the very beginning. But we became that brand that you were familiar with through your parents, perhaps your grandparents, but not as familiar with day-to-day if you're a millennial or a younger audience. So I think you said it in the question, Dom. It's listening to the audience quite attentively, and that's what we do. I think we have a team called the Define team that has to answer why now, and why would a consumer care and pay attention to it. And once those three questions are answered, we have a better understanding of how to listen to the audience versus to talk to ourselves. Once we get the consumer insight and that very clear human need that we can answer through creative, then I think we are up to something. And how do you reflect that from a personal branding perspective? In a similar way, what I try to do, be it with my peers or with my team, is just listen attentively all the times. And before I actually respond, I'm trying to understand at every single time. And then by understanding that, understanding the human connection between the needs that they have, I feel that we can get to a better path, both with the work as well with the human driving the work at the end of the day.
And I'll just add real quick, Dominic. I think something a lot of people, we all think we just go out and get survey data, right? Or talk to our customers. But here's an interesting one for people to think about. Ask your peer group to comment back. Ask them questions. Hey, what do you think I do well? What do I need to do differently? And let them give you some feedback. And I think if you bounce that off a few people, you will start to notice some consistency in things, which tells you, I need to put gas on this one, or I need to reel back on something, or I need to even stop doing something.
I agree.
It helps. It's not just survey and customer data. Having interactions with your peer group is important.
All right, Daniela, bring it home.
No, I think that you guys have really summed up where we need to be when we look at making a difference and, making sure that we're standing out and looking at people's evolving needs. It's so important that we get to the heart of the people that we're serving. And so whether it's your own brand and it's who you're serving as a professional, or whether it's a product or a service, who you're serving as a professional, understanding the heart of who you're serving, where their pain points are, but not only that, what they really need to be able to thrive in this type of economy, and being able to communicate how you do that is so important. And so I love the title of today. It was Stand Out or Fade Out. And the only way that you're going to stand out is you've got to be willing to be bold, do something different, and make some noise.
I love, I'm going to throw you all curveball. Get ready for this. One of my proudest moments in my career was when I was running Adorama Picks, and it was a photo company, and to get to know the brand and the customer's needs, I sat in the lobby. I literally just sat there with my laptop. Whenever someone came in, I talked to them. What are you here for? How can I help you? And I remember one woman was like, oh, I want a 17% off coupon. I'm here for it. And I give her here's a bigger coupon. Just do it, whatever. what have you guys done? Do you have any stories from your lives where you've had that moment where you like literally walked up to the customer? Whoever wants to go first, go for it.
I'll throw two in there. They're together. First was obviously just sitting on the customer service line, if you have one as a company, and just listen. Don't participate. Just listen. It's fascinating to hear what your customers are calling about or what their concerns are. But the better part is, how are you reacting to what they're saying? Is it defensive? Is it assisting? Is it, let me solve? Is it problem solving? But listening is key. And remember, it's not participating, listening. Use these things that you've got for a reason. One. But here's the other one I did. And if you're shipping out any products, go down to your shipping department and pack a few boxes and look at the way the products are going in there and how they're being put in there. Because a lot of times we look at efficiencies that drive speed. And the goal is to get it in the box and get it wrapped up and out the door as fast as you can, versus something that looks like somebody actually was careful, put it in the box. I'm not saying perfect, but gave it some care so that when you open it, you go, oh, okay. It's not like, what the heck happened? So, and I spent time down there, and I will tell you, our shipping and receiving department, they're like, why is he here? Right? Why is he packing the boxes? But when you explain what you're trying to do and why you're doing it, they buy in too.
Oh, Nuno, have you ever slept on the beds in the storeroom? Or
No, I was just going to build on Dan's point. For us, for instance, being in the store is critical and kind of obvious, because most folks still prefer to go in store, touch a mattress, feel it. And we always say this: consumers may walk away from the stores not remembering correctly what type of mattress they bought, but who they bought it from, they know it to a T. But the other component of our business that we watch very closely is actually delivery, because that's the last mile, right? That's the last impression that as a brand I'm leaving in your household. So when we go to your house to pick up a mattress and leave a new one, making sure that we left your house better than we encountered per se, and we were very tidy and careful and thoughtful that we are entering your home. And to Dan's point, making it an experience. So when you receive a product from us, making sure that it feels like a good experience. Our teams paid a lot of attention to it, and our marketing team specifically have to spend time with our logistics and ops teams as well as sales team to understand the consumer feedback live and our people's feedback live. That's the biggest thing too. How do our people see our consumers reacting to the work that we put live in market versus us believing in research alone, to Dan's point?
Daniela.
So I think that you guys hit it so well when you talk about just getting into the operation and being able to touch and interact and understand what your consumers are experiencing. And so as marketers, sometimes we're so busy building or creating or writing funnels and those types of things that we forget to actually interact and engage with whatever it is that we're selling. And so we have to make sure that we're in that operation. I always say good marketers know marketing. Great marketers understand the operation and how it works, and they can translate that language to operators when they're talking to operators and take that and turn it into stories for their customers. And that's something that we've really tried to do with our campus dining programs that we did. And a good story is also social storytelling. And so a lot of times, we don't think about how important it is to find out what conversations are happening socially around the audiences that you serve. And so we do keyword listening when it comes to HBCU culture. We do some when it comes to like campus dining culture and food culture overall. And we're looking not necessarily for the buzzwords that are always there. We're looking for the subcultures, because when you approach any audience like a monolith, you will have flat marketing and your stories will not resonate with everyone. And so we've learned how to have a more nuanced conversation because we understand the subcultures and the conversations that are happening around college life. And then we speak to those things.
All right. And, speaking of the storytelling, how do you craft a compelling narrative when you're building the brand from scratch? Established brands, you want to get consistency, but we're talking scratch. Who wants to take from scratch? Nuno's in the middle of a drink, so we're not letting him go first.
I'm unmuted.
Go for it.
One of the things I always think about from storytelling is it's being purpose driven. Like, what's the purpose of what you're doing? Because if you had 7 seconds to tell someone what you're doing, why are you doing it? You got to think about that. Can you put that into a package and share it with people in a way that's compelling, They want to interest. And a lot of people will sit down and go, well, here's 10 things we do great. So, okay, that's fantastic. However, you don't have the time. People don't have the retention. Pick 2 or 3. What are your 2 or 3 big things that you can do, you want to do? Now, whether it's you, your products, or your business, what differentiates you from everybody else? Because I guarantee you, nobody goes out and markets their business saying, oh, well, we're the cheapest, or we kind of manufacture okay. It's great. But no, what differentiates you? Don't be everybody else. Talk about what's special about you. That's my biggest recommendation.
Now, Daniela went last before, so I'm going to jump Daniela in, then Nuno.
All right. So we're going to make a difference. Then we have to understand that the difference is in the 3 Ds. And so if you're taking notes, I encourage you to get your notebook out so we can make sure we do this. The first one is the differences in the details. It's the small little things. At the end of the day, our company, my company, and my competitor companies, we all do the same thing. We serve food, right? But what makes my company different from my competitor's company is that we give our campuses the Lux life. We go down deeper than the obvious of what we are selling, and we get to the heart, the soul, the purpose of why food fuels our scholars and the people that we serve. And so the Lux Life allows us to lift that up and create an environment where our students can thrive, where they're introduced to luxury at an early age, and they have a demand for greatness and excellence that really supports them through their college experience. So you want to make sure you have some details and that you can articulate those details. The second one is, how are you going to deliver yourself? Like, what do you deliver as a marketer? What do you deliver that's different from every other marketer? As a secretary, whatever your role is, how do you deliver different? And making sure that you're delivering something unique that is you. Don't try to pick something that's gimmicky or something that you that's not natural to you. Pick who it is. My personal branding is it's big deal season. I'm a big deal, and that's my messaging, right? And so I use my big energy, and I allow that, because it's who I am, to come out in everything I do. So when I deliver as a marketer, if you don't want to go big, you don't want to hire me. It's just what it is. And so you can kind of stand in that, and then you'll have a better fit also when you're looking for places. And then the last one is, you got to develop some demand for whatever it is that you're selling, whether it's yourself, your product. You have to create demand and make people go, dang, I didn't even know I needed that. But now I need to smack the buy button, as one of my favorite marketers always says.
Nuno, you have to answer, but only with big energy.
I know. It's like, I feel this is already a clip on its own. We just have this clip to that and just basically sell this through. Danielle, it was amazing. Completely agree. And if you go back to even the startup mentality too, I think the question was, if you're just starting at the beginning, if you take all that Dan said, Daniela said, completely agree. So I won't double down on that, because it was beautifully said. But also, don't be afraid to try, error, iterate. That's a bigger thing. I think as small brands, sometimes it's common to get paralysis and be afraid to test new things. Test it, learn. If you fail very fast, iterate even faster, but allow yourself to try and create a culture within your team, because innovation doesn't necessarily mean technology all the time. Innovation also means, how do you think differently? How do you create an environment to encourage people to be bold, to try new things, to listen to new consumers, to listen to audiences? And if you're building your brand bottoms up because you don't have the awareness yet, then go after converting consumers that already have a behavior that's inclined to the brand, service, or product you're trying to sell. And similar in your personal life is pretty much the same. Align yourself with people that obviously have natural commonalities with you, but also try to understand the difference with those that you don't work with, so that you can bridge that gap and become an integrator and a unity for all the teams around you.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, you have to. It's a natural conversation.
I know. Well, I had to jump in there. The only thing I love this conversation. I think the important thing to remember too is that message, whatever it is, needs to carry through in everything you do. Whether it's your social media, whether it's your business advertising, whether it's your conversations with you have to own that piece of the brand, whether it's the company you or your business, and that message has to resonate everywhere, because you get leverage. It's the snowball effect, right? The more you tell it, the stronger it gets.
It's a good line, Dan, if I may just build on that we use with our teams, which is this notion of building brand over time and making sales overnight. So that consistency is always there. And in the world of today, it's so hard for teams to stay consistent, because one, the pressures that you have, depending on the size of the brand that you run, the pressures from the board, from the CEO to the CFO, to even to a smaller brand, the pressure of the day-to-day investment that turns into return, it's very easy to get lost in the sauce and then leave your DNA and go somewhere else. So I completely agree. I think that's really well put.
Yes, stay with your DNA. I love that. I think you should write that down if you're taking notes.
That's a note taker. I just took it. Yeah.
Yes, stay with your DNA. That is so powerful because at the end of the day, like I wake up in my sleep going, Lux Life, it's big deal season. Like those, you have to begin to take your message and it has to become your language. It has to become a part of your everyday vocabulary. We literally have a Lux Life vocabulary. All of our greeters greet our students, welcome to the Lux Life. When they leave, we say, have a luxurious day. It sounds unnatural in the beginning to say those things, but over time that begins to become programmed into the fiber of who our employees are and how it drives their culture, as well as the fabric of our guests, because they start to look forward to, yeah, I'm going to have a luxurious day today, and it changes their thinking. And so don't be afraid to tell the same story over and over and over again, because you don't always have the same audience.
But your guys are talking also about getting this consistent messaging out. How do you cultivate an internal cross culture? How do you get this culture within to get that same message out? I think you have all your internal teams, you have every team member, you need to get across this DNA. How do you do it? Who wants to take it first? Oh wait, nope, Daniela, you didn't start yet. You're starting this one.
Okay. All right. I'll start. I think that first of all, people and culture has to be your best friend. You have to have, if you're a marketing function that doesn't support people and culture, you have to partner together, because the goals of your marketing with your consumers or whoever you're marketing to have to match and align with the goals of the people and culture program, and the messaging has to support one another. So if you're not communicating and having those messages, you're doing a disservice to your organization. And so for us, what we did is we created Lux Life University, which is our training platform, where we train our employees on what the Lux Life is, how to execute it, how to work with it. I actually work with our team to develop our strategy for the year, what our focuses are, and then I work in tandem with our HR teams to make sure that we're sending out emails. We have text message portals that all speak the same language and all have the same actions that support our marketing functions as well. But you have to have that partnership if you're not overseeing people and culture.
Couldn't agree more. 100%. I mentioned before this notion that our people on the floor are actually the last experience of the brand that you have. If they don't live to the same things that we live through, if they don't believe in what we believe in, and if marketing isn't at the service of helping that culture be lived through every channel we talk to consumers about, be it in store, be it digital, be it wherever, then we're missing a point. So I couldn't agree more, Daniela. Really well put.
Yeah, I'll just add one quick. One of the things I see is that, do you have employees or do you have brand ambassadors? Mm-hmm. Right? Do they believe in it? Are you saying something that is truly what you represent, or are you saying something that you want to be? Can you? There's a difference there, right? Because if you're purpose driven, you believe in it, you're living it, your employees are feeling the exact same way, and you treat them that way, they're going to treat your customers and share the same message. It all flows top down. Doesn't make a difference, and it really comes down to, are you a version of your brand that you're building, is what I think, and use those employees as ambassadors.
And Dan, Dom, if I could just share a story with that supports that. So every year we take and we create like a theme for our program that our students will experience. This year, ours is about global travel and global wellness. Every month we're experiencing a different country. And so one of the things that we did as we were onboarding our Lux leaders, that's what we call our leadership around here. As we were onboarding our Lux leaders, is we gave them some assignments to do for their personal life. And the thing that we taught them was, you need to experience it first, because you can't lead people where you never gone. And so we gave them a task list. And one of the things I encourage people to do is, if they did not have a passport, just go get a passport. And, how are we going to show people the world and we've never ever done anything. And so we did this, and about 8 weeks later, I had somebody come up to me and they were like, Daniela, I've been so excited. And she pulls out her passport and she's like, I went and got my passport. I've always wanted to do it. I just never found a reason to do it. And you inspired me to do it. And now I'm going to get my whole team to like learn, teach them how to get their passports. And these are people that might not necessarily normally ever think about leaving the world that are now starting to think about traveling. That's the kind of impact you have even on your team. And this is before it even gets to our guests. And that's what you want to make sure that you do. They get to experience it.
All right. I feel like I can't follow that, but I will. I will follow that. Looking ahead, where do you see as crucial to invest in brand building? Just to continue market leadership, where do you feel the best investment is? Who wants to take it first? Nuno does.
I was going to say that I think we talked a little bit about this before together as we were preparing for this and meeting one another. I think in an age where AI data is at the center of the conversation, has been more than ever before, and where people are creating brands through AI and believing that that brand is going to resonate with humans immediately, I think human storytelling has never been more important. And the ability to utilize storytelling as a language that humans and consumers actually understand as it relates to your products, your services, and what you're trying them to buy from you and engage with you on, it's never been more important than now. And really honing in into, you mentioned before, Daniela, social channels, for instance, paying attention, listen to your audience. I think the beauty of digital is digital will leave you a bunch of breadcrumbs to follow along, pay attention, pick up along the way, understand what kind of cake you're trying to bake. If you don't pay attention enough, not closely enough, you'll miss that boat. If you do so, you have an advantage across everything that you do. So I would focus on human storytelling more than ever before and utilize AI and data as a fuel to all of that.
Yeah, and I'll add a couple of things. The first one really is you've got people you work with or peer groups, is develop a more thought leadership type culture. In other words, people experience things differently. Whether you're out, like I buy something different than Nuno does, or Daniela does, or you, Dominic. Maybe we're the same. I don't really know. But we all experience things differently. And being able to have that exchange of information shares concepts and ideas and ways people interact with either you, your products, or your company, is to get that and absorb that. I think Nuno's right. AI is very important, right? You can ask it questions. It can get you started. But talking to people, you've still got to have that element, because that will share with you a lot of information and perspectives that you might not have considered. And then internally is looking at how do you take your customer community or your customer groups and segment them in a way that you can interact with them, right? So are there ways to create special experiences, or are there ways to invite them in? In a previous position, I used to hold Zoom meetings and invite people to be part of it who are customers. Just join us. And they would go, why, right? And they get on and you say, we want to have information from you. If you were the CEO, what would you do for this company? Or if you could have any new product, what would it be? And then here's the key thing. It's, again, listening. Just listen. Don't direct the conversation. Don't feed your input. Don't push back. Listen. People will tell you things, and it's fascinating to ask them what they would do, because they'll tell you. And many, many times it's surprising what it is. So I think it's really having an experience and a relationship with your customers, your peer groups, your employees, that in a way where it's collaborative thinking as you go forward.
New, you said, and I'm going to throw another curveball at you guys. How do you introduce a new concept? And I'm thinking to myself, Daniela got me inspired on this from our prep call. She's taking this concept of the historically Black colleges and moving out physically, geographically north to where it might not be. You have a brand that's well known, and now you have to introduce it to a new market, a new thing. Nuno, you mentioned you're coming to America. There's some brands that you bring in here. So how do you, not that established brand, but enter that new market, a new thing, and then describe the new idea? Who wants to hit it first?
Daniela, why don't you go?
All right. you just got to get where you are trying to be. And what I mean by that is where your audience is where you need to be. And so if they're on social, then you need to micro tell stories on social. If it is in person, you need to get in person. You cannot be hiding. And I think that's the biggest thing that people miss. And even when I came to this company, I felt like we were the biggest kept secret in the country. And it's time to come out behind the walls of doing the work and make sure that you are telling other people what you're doing. I think that that's where people usually get scared, is getting into the where their audience is. And so if you're talking to professionals, you need to be on LinkedIn. If you're talking to visual people, you need to be on Instagram and TikTok. If you're talking to your older generations, you need to be on Facebook. If you're talking to a certain type of people and they need to touch and feel, then you need to show up at the conferences, show up at the different places. Don't be afraid to get out and get where you need to be. Staying behind your computer and just doing the work is not going to work.
This is great. And we have, I was looking over here to see if we have any of the wrap up. If you guys, got in 4 minutes, one lesson, one story for our audience in the next 4 minutes, who wants to go first? Anybody? One takeaway lesson.
I'll kick it off.
Go for it.
So here's mine. It's going to go back to a couple of the topics we talked about just briefly. Is look at your business, your product, your story. Find the differentiator. If you can find that one thing that stands out, whether it's purpose driven, whether it's some element of the product, who your audience is, and really build your story around a compelling reason why that makes you the one that they should interact with. If you can identify that differentiator and build a story around it and keep that consistency amongst all the platforms you talk on, all the places you are, all the people you interact with, you can build a brand very successfully. Trying to scatter and be everywhere, I think Nuno said that earlier, it's very difficult. You've got to stay and believe it and be a part of it and live it, and it'll happen.
Can I build on that? Because
Yes.
I love that. I would say, and a challenge for marketers in general is build an environment that allows that to happen. That's the biggest challenge that we have today, which is, as a marketing leader, stand in the ground of allowing your teams to learn their audiences and actually work and benefit of the audience, the consumer focus, versus the pressures of day-to-day the business carries by design. So encourage them to try, to fail, to experiment, to learn, to move fast from the learnings that they've just gotten. But don't ever create an environment in which they feel that trying can be punished, where failing can be looked down upon. Be courageous and allow an environment where creativity is not something you chase. It's just something that's part of what you do. That's what I would say is a good challenge to put out there.
And Daniela, you got to bring it home.
All righty. No pressure. Unleash your big deal energy. Don't be afraid of big, bold ideas that other people aren't doing. This week was really phenomenal for us. We started a new partnership with Livingstone College and became their dining service provider. And as we did our ribbon cutting at our grand opening, we had a student that is Mr. Livingstone, and he stood there and he's looking at the wall, and tears are coming down his face. He's a 5th generation Livingstone College student, and he's crying. And I'm like, "You good?" And he said, "Miss Daniela, you all just put my pictures on the wall. When I got here as a freshman, all I had was my cheap camera, and I was taking my camera around, and everybody used to tease me because I had my camera. And now you all have published and put my pictures in this dining hall as a reflection of this campus that's going to be here forever. And to know that the investment that I've made over the years, this is what I get to sit in." It's not about the food. It's about those moments, because he realized how great he was and what he could accomplish because he saw himself published. He saw his stuff in print up on the wall and canvases. It changes the trajectory of where he can go in his career. Do things that change the trajectory of those that you come in contact with. That's when you win. That's when you're profitable. And that's when you're impactful. That's how you stand out and not fade out.
Wow. Well, to wrap it up, I want to thank this whole panel: Nuno Bamberg, Dan Masuga, and Daniela Gabriela. Daniel Gabriel, I want to thank you all. I think we have to get the band back again to do this again one more time because this 30 minutes was not enough. Thank everybody for joining.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.